So I wanted to get into the second round of rigmarole with the county, being that all I wanted to do is find the truth. That's it. All I wanted to do is find out the truth of what these idiots at Lenape Valley did. Okay? Those idiots being Kelsey Beecham, Allison Jenkins, Lori Lamont, etc., etc., etc. So I said, this is to a guy named Anthony Pacifico. I said, hello, I don't think that you're the correct person. Can you direct me to the proper person to file a formal complaint against Lenape Valley Foundation for racial, sex, and sexual orientation bias? And essentially, this is me explaining what happened. I said, essentially what happened is for years, I've been being harassed online, and many videos have been made erroneously accusing me of stalking women and pedophilia. Last March, I had attempted to sign myself into Lower Bucks Hospital as this harassment had driven me to the point of suicidal ideation. I was erroneously 302'd, although it didn't stick, denied my heart medication, and when I arrived at Lancaster Behavioral Health, the 302 was thrown out by the attending psychiatrist, Dr. Gerstmann, as it was completely unfounded, in that what I was saying was easily verifiable by looking online, and it was clear that I wasn't psychotic or delusional. What's important to understand, too, is not only was it easily verifiable, and you could see it, I wasn't ever trying to get away from treatment. I was trying to get treatment. The whole point of a 302 is to force somebody into a hospital that is, how can I put this, refusing treatment. I was trying to get treatment, okay? That's what makes the whole 302 even more ridiculous. The second issue involves Allison Jenkins, the clinical coordinator for Lenape Valley Foundation, who, to the best of my knowledge, this is what you have to understand, nobody's being honest with me. All I have is Kelsey Beecham telling me that Allison Jenkins Googled me, okay? That's all the only thing I have that even makes a little bit of sense, okay? And so I gotta go by the information that I'm given by people. So they allegedly Googled me, found videos that erroneously depicted me engaging, quote, in pedophilia, and presumed them to be accurate, meaning they didn't find, but they didn't. So I have insisted on getting a straight answer from Lenape Valley Foundation regarding this nonsense, and they have continually, and all I want is the truth. I didn't even want anybody to get in trouble. All I wanted was the truth, okay? And this has forced me to discontinue my services with my therapist due to an inability to trust the organization. Attached is her discharge summary. I am 100% certain that if I were homosexual, not heterosexual, if I were black, not white, or if I were a woman and not a man, I would never have been blown off over the years regarding the psychological impact of the online harassment. But I was. So this is Meredith getting back to me. She's saying she received my email regarding Lenape Valley Foundation. She is emailing me rather than calling me. And this is why I have nothing on record of the first round of bullshit with Jane Kramer, is because that was all done on the phone. Okay, so I decided to only communicate with these people in written format. She said she is emailing me rather than calling because I have stated that I prefer this method of communication. Okay, she said, can I expand more specifically on the racial, sexual, blah, 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 blah. You mentioned that you had addressed this with Lenape Valley, blah, 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 blah. So, let's see here. Okay. I said, yes, it's my belief that my therapist and her supervisor were unnecessarily intimidated. You have to understand, I did not jump to any wild conclusions or accusations against people. I didn't try to hurt anybody or unfairly make people responsible for things they didn't. I really did think that maybe just a mistake was made. But at a certain point, when you keep covering something up and keep lying about something, there has to be a reason you're lying about it. There has to be a reason you keep covering it up. And there has to be a reason for the inconsistencies and the lies. Why would you lie about something if you could just as easily tell the truth? And this would be over with. But no, that didn't happen. I said, it's my belief that my therapist and her supervisor were unnecessarily intimidated by false information, which was found when her supervisor Googled me due to the fact that they're both pro-female therapists. Having had worked in mental health, I am very well aware that there is a movement to look upon heterosexual white men with fear and suspicion and as oppressors of all non-whites and women. Number 2, I've discussed this concern first with Kelsey Beecham, my therapist, then with her supervisor, Allison Jenkins, then with her supervisor, Lori Lamont, then with Sharon Coran, because she wanted to know who I spoke to, and then with Marjorie Morgan. I've not gotten a consistent answer from any 2 people. My NHS case manager was contacted by Allison and told that what spurred the overreaction was a video found on YouTube by Allison Jenkins, which wasn't my video. Kelsey had stated in a previous conversation with Marshall that, so she was on the phone with Marshall and me and Marshall, that there was a video that was found that discussed the ages of girls and that this was the reason for the fear. And initially Kelsey had stated that they, meaning Lenape Valley Foundation, had, quote, found, and this is the thing, that's how she opened up my session, quote, they found your YouTube channel, quote, I told them I'm not concerned, they're concerned, but I'm not concerned. Quote, I'm quoting Kelsey. Okay, then she goes, quote, they, meaning Lenape Valley, wanted to make sure that I didn't have any firearms. She said, they want to make sure you don't have any firearms. There was no reason. I didn't threaten to harm anybody. I didn't threaten to harm myself. I didn't threaten to do anything stupid. Nothing. I didn't have time to. That's how she opened up the session. Okay? Not one question posed to me about the people harassing me that I had been telling them about for almost, at that point, almost half a decade. Okay, number 3. There wasn't any attempt to connect me with outpatient services because at this point I am not able to trust mental health workers due to Mrs. Beecham's behavior. Number 4, to be honest, I am not 100% certain I would like to be 100% honest, I'm not certain what happened. Because I don't know. I don't know what happened. I need to find out what happened. I still don't know what happened. I said, I would like a straight answer from Lenape Valley Foundation that actually makes sense and is consistent, and to be somewhat more certain that they didn't contact any outside sources and or aren't communicating with people that have stated they'd contact them to spread lies about me. Okay, this is me giving additional information to her. She's saying, thank you for providing this information. I will look into your concerns, yada, yada, yada. Okay, sorry for separate email, but I do have some additional questions. So she said, you mentioned your therapist and her supervisor were intimidated by false information they found on the internet. For the purposes of addressing that with Lenape Valley Foundation, how do you know staff were intimidated by you? Well, you can tell if you ever talk to somebody that they're intimidated by their body language, okay? For whatever reason, Kelsey went from being attracted to me to intimidated by me in the course of one session. She says, Meredith says, did they specifically state this? Well, now they have in letter form. Or are there specific examples in which this happened? I said, the fact that my therapist supervisor severely overreacted to the point that she made my therapist, then this is the point. The fact that my therapist supervisor severely overreacted to the point that she made my therapist ask me if I owned any firearms and planned to hurt anyone, despite the fact that I didn't threaten to hurt anyone or myself, and that it was based on the video according to my therapist. Also, that my therapist's supervisor immediately drew the conclusion that I was guilty of things depicted in the videos, despite no other evidence, and despite the fact that I have told Lenape Valley for years that I was being stalked, harassed, and threatened, and that this material was literally everywhere on the internet. I've said that a gazillion times to all the therapists I've had. Okay? Essentially, it was the very high degree of overreaction to things that were either not true or grossly exaggerated. Also, I wish to be clear, the reason for the psych eval was changed a number of times. First, my therapist, Kelsey, stated it was due to the content that her supervisor, Allison, found online. Second, my therapist supervisor said it was to provide me with case management or CRR services, despite the fact that Lenape Valley Foundation wrote my referral to NHS, and my therapist knew I was in Section 8 housing. So there would be no need for the CRR services, and I don't need 2 case managers. Okay, they knew I already had 1 case manager because I signed a number of releases to speak with him for them, and on top of that, they're the ones, their therapist, not Kelsey, but a previous therapist, is the one that wrote the referral so I could receive those services. Also, I had argued with that therapist that I did not need a case manager. I did not believe that I needed that level of care, and I explained that to a therapist. That's noteworthy, and that therapist most likely put that in a note, I would assume. She said, okay, thank you for the additional information, for that clarification. Please know that this review is done in an unbiased manner, so I hope you understand my reason for asking additional questions was to get clarity. Unbiased my ass. Unbiased my ass. Now, I noticed how she noted that it had to be unbiased. Generally speaking, complaints can be very subjective, so as much concrete information... Yeah, I've given you plenty of concrete information, and all you did was reiterate what Allison said. Despite the fact that I have a number of witnesses, including a case manager and a psychiatrist. I said, I do understand. Again, thank you. I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble. I just want to find out what the heck happened. Again, I do understand. Again, thank you. I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble. I just want to find out what the heck happened. I said, the other thing was I found a little kooky, that instead of asking me to clarify their findings, or Allison's findings, or ask me anything about the situation, that they had jumped right into interrogating me. Yeah, they didn't ask me anything. Literally, my session was opened up with, they found your YouTube channel. They want to make sure you don't have any firearms. They're concerned, I'm not concerned. That's how Kelsey opened up my session. There was no reason to ask me any of that shit. They just went fucking balls deep on this shit for no reason. I said, I did not, okay, did I plan to use any firearms? How did the people harassing me online find out about what they were harassing me about? They made it up. That's how. Why were they harassing me almost as though it was a justification? And that's the truth. Kelsey really did go a number of times to try and justify the behavior of the people online, which shows me, in retrospect, that Kelsey either knows these people or is one of these people. She's saying, Meredith is saying, I appreciate the information and will do my best to get some answers for you. No, you didn't. And she said she will be in touch.